Hello, everyone, and welcome to In the Know with Cat Bobino. Today, my extra special guest is AJ Williams of Google. Now, AJ has been stuck in a little bit of traffic. She is definitely on her way, but she will be in studio today. And so what I want to start talking about is some of the things that AJ has done before she actually comes to the microphone and gets here on the camera. In the meantime and in between time, I also want to thank everyone who has joined in, who shared the video, who has been a part of In the Know with Cat Bobino from the very beginning. Thank you for joining us on this podcast. If you were there when we started doing the TV show, I also want to say thank you to you as well. But we are going to do the podcast from here on out so we can get to more places, see more people, and talk about more careers when it comes to science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, if you would like to know more about AJ Williams, who is our guest, who should be here shortly, she does have a website. Her website is her name, ajwilliams.co, not com, co. So make sure that you go to her website, check her out. She's done such amazing things when it comes to technology prior to even joining Google. She has done immaculate things for herself, for some of the things that she's done outside, and a lot of the things she do is with travel. So if you've ever been interested in science, tech, or engineering and math, and you're interested in travel, make sure you check her out. Also, you can Google my name, Cat Bobino, and I've done some amazing things. Some of the things are like going to New Zealand or sailing the Bering Strait in Alaska. I don't think I said that right, but it's okay. Sailing in Alaska, those are some of the things that I've done. But if you're interested in science, engineering, tech, and math, then you need to check out some of the people like AJ Williams who have already done that. So we are every Wednesday at 6:30 doing In the Know with Cat Bobino, and we also do it live on Facebook. If you're joining us on Facebook, please shout out where you're from, where you're staying, and what you would like to know about STEM. Also, during the podcast, if you have any questions that you might want to ask myself or my guests, all you have to do is type them in the comment section. When you type it in the comment section, I see it on my computer, I can see it on my tablet, and we can answer those questions at any point in any time. Now, how many people, I will say, have heard of Google? I know that's kind of a crazy question because if you're like me, you use Google practically every day, right? Google is one of those platforms that not only are you able to look up a variety of things of how to cook this or how to DIY a project or how to create new different programs and things like that. Google is one of those platforms that's going to be able to teach you a variety of things. Now, if you've ever known someone who works at Google, it takes a lot of people to make sure that Google is running successfully and is able to do what you need to do. In fact, it takes a group of people to change the logo of Google whenever there's a holiday or whenever they want to celebrate someone. There is a whole team that deals with that. So if you do not know, Google amasses amount of talent. There's a horde of people who tend to be a part of creating Google, making sure it works effortlessly. Could not get that word out. There's a team that makes sure everything that you type in is going to come up. Google has Maps, it has Scholar, it has Picture Finder. It has so many entities to it. And because of that, like I said, it takes a vast variety of it. Now, if you or someone you know works in science, tech, engineering, or math, and they're interested in being on the show, please send me a message. We are booked until mid-October every Wednesday, but we are always trying to make sure that we have a platform to share people's story. So if you know of someone who wants to be on the show, either call in or in studio, then all you have to do is send me a message and we can put them on the calendar. We send emails with up-to-dates, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. And I'm always interested in finding diverse people who want to tell their story. Now, if you've ever watched things like Bill Nye the Science Guy or Neil deGrasse Tyson or Stephen Hawking, then you'll see that they come at you with this greater than thou understanding of science. And that's okay if that's what you like, but I want to come to you as a learner. Same page as you, we're going to go and we're going to meet diverse people in these fields together and learn about different careers that are available. Excuse me. That is the premise of In the Know with Cat Bobino. Excuse me, there's a little ant. I don't know if you can hear me scraping. I just wanted to get him off the table. But yes, if you want to be a part of the show, all you have to do is send me a message. You can send me a message on Facebook, or you can send me a message to my email. And my email is catbobino@gmail.com. That's catbobino@gmail.com. And we can work on getting you on our calendar to be a part of the show. Excuse me. We have such amazing guests coming up for the rest of September, but in October, we are going to partner with UC Berkeley, and we're going to talk to some women from around the world that are in tech. Make sure that you are around when we are going to be live in October, because we're going to go to a tech conference at UC Berkeley. Some of the women we're going to talk to are from Southern America, from Mexico, from countries throughout. They're going to be from Africa. They're going to be from the Middle East. And I think we're going to try to do a segment on women in STEM who were encouraged by their fathers. Now, as an American, if you're born and raised in America, you may realize that there's no downplay to women going in STEM. However, in different countries, there is law that prohibits some women from going to school, and there's laws that prohibit women from getting a higher education. Now, some of the people that's going to be at this symposium in Berkeley come from those countries, but their fathers took it upon themselves to make sure that their daughters were educated in science, tech, engineering, and math in order for them to find a career and to be able to do things for themselves. So I'm really like excited to have this opportunity to talk to these women who are from a variety of countries who are doing amazing things in STEM. So it looks like our guest is here. So we're going to bring her in. Hi. Welcome, AJ.
Hello.
Welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. You can have a seat right here.
Thank
you. Excuse me. So welcome.
Thank you.
We already are live, but that's okay. I get caught in traffic. I just did a panel discussion like 2 weeks ago and I was late. So it happens.
Welcome to the Bay Area.
Welcome to the Bay and the New Bay.
The New Bay.
The New Bay with all the people that are here.
I'm one of them.
Okay. Well, welcome. Regardless,
Much appreciated. Much appreciated.
So, AJ, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So, I'm AJ. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
So not so small town girl, but kind of small town. Went to Spelman College. Shout out to all the Spelmanites out there.
Okay.
What else? Went to Spelman for undergrad. Got a degree in sociology and anthropology.
Okay.
So very non-STEM.
Okay.
And then I went to law school at University of Tennessee. Go Vols.
Okay.
And then I practiced for a while, then went to business school, and that's how I got involved in tech.
Okay.
I had the idea of after business school, I would go right back to practicing law. I was like, nope, got my in-house job. That's what I like to do. I'm going to go be a lawyer. And my mentor at the time was the CPO of Dell.
Oh,
and
wow.
he said, hey, I know this group you'd be perfect for. And I was like, no, I'm going to go back to practicing law because I like that. And he was right. I went into this group at Dell where I was doing kind of a hybrid of like lawyering, because I was doing like licensing negotiations,
Mm-hmm.
and it was so much fun. I was like, oh, this is a lot of fun.
Okay.
And so that was my entrance into tech. That was 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I've been kind of bouncing around to different roles, trying out different companies, different things, and really liking the business side, right? So I've been doing that for the past 10 years or so.
Okay. Well, that is a lot. That's amazing.
Thank
I
you.
do want to say, I always say if it ends in ology, it's still science. So it's still a part of STEM.
Science of people. And
Exactly.
It's important.
Exactly.
It's super important, especially when dealing with tech people.
I can believe that. I can believe all of that. But when you decided to go to school for anthropology and sociology, was law school on your mind?
No.
Okay.
No, that was secondary. My first career choice was to be an investigative journalist. I wanted to be Lisa Ling.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I got introduced to Lisa Ling, I think like most of us, on Channel 1 News in high school. And I was like, this job is amazing. Because she would, she would go undercover and she'd cover all these stories. And I was like, that's what I want to do with my life. And my parents were like, absolutely not.
As parents can be.
I was like, no, I want to go to like the war zones and be undercover and break out this great story. And my dad was like, absolutely not. And then my boyfriend at the time was like, absolutely not. If you want me to marry you,
right? No.
And I was like, I was kind of trying to rebel against this. And then finally I said, you know what? Maybe I'll be a lawyer and be a civil rights attorney. Okay. Right. And then that's when I decided to go to law school. My aunt was a lawyer, right? My dad's sister, she was a lawyer. And so I interned with her while I was at Spelman, and very quickly realized that civil rights law was not going to be for me.
Okay.
Mainly because it was heart-wrenching and just highly emotional and stressful and a lot. So
I can see that. I mean, I've read the history of some civil law suits. Yeah. However, it's unfortunate that I believe the history hasn't really changed too much.
That would be accurate.
To be in current times.
That would be very accurate.
I can see how that can be very stressful.
It was, my aunt was a brilliant attorney, but she had to take a break from the civil rights law, from the type of law that she was practicing, because it wasn't all just civil rights, right? She had some civil rights cases, but a lot of it was family law too. She took a break to become a guardian ad litem and represent children in the court system. Now, anytime you say, I'm going to take a break and just help children in a court system, because that's already a very heart-wrenching, difficult thing to do, civil rights law is just, it's brutal. It's brutal.
I can imagine. My best friend is a family law, not civil, but a family law lawyer. And, she can only tell me so much because of privilege, right, and confidentiality. However, some of the things she tells me, I'm like, ooh. Yeah. It's hard to imagine that there's a human being that can be like that. Yes. But unfortunately, there is.
That's why tech is so much easier. I'm like, listen, guys. But now I feel like I get to marry some of my passions, right? Because now I'm focusing in more on like AI and AR ethics, right? Wow. And helping to build policies around how technology will not continue to marginalize already marginalized groups, i.e. Black people, right? Like,
I mean, just
I'm
speak
Black.
Just speak it.
So gotta kind of look out for Black people. I mean, I don't want tech to marginalize anyone, but I'm Black, so I'm really interested in how it affects a group of people that have been battered by this country, right? And really all over the world, right? Yes. And so that's a passion of mine. So I'm really glad that my new transition in tech allows me to really look at get those problems and be at the table to come up with solutions to those. So that's fun.
That's awesome. At the end of this, you've already met my partner because he walked in with you.
Yes, very nicely directed me in.
But he loves law. He wanted to go to law school, but he didn't get an opportunity to go.
Mm-hmm.
And he loves tech. And so I think you guys are about to be like the besties.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be on the sidelines with my arms folded. Like, I want to be included.
No, everyone gets to be friends. Come
right. But so after law, what made you go to business?
So when I started practicing law, so there's a reason they tell you don't go in-house right after law school. Right? It's because you don't know anything.
Right.
And I was thinking, but I'm the exception because I got hired. I know a lot. And I did, because I interned there the summer before. So I'm really thinking, I'm so smart. I did such a great job. And then I got there and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I have zero idea what I'm doing. Wow. I would literally be sitting in meetings with some of my business partners. And I had some idea. Let me take that back. I had some idea. But I'd be sitting in a meeting with my business partners. And it was like we were talking across from one another. I'd say one thing, they'd say something else. And I'm like, I know words that came out of your mouth. I know those words that you speak. It's just the way you put them together. I don't know what you're talking about. Right. And so in my mind, it was, well, I don't have enough business experience to support business folks. Like, I just don't have enough experience. So maybe I should go get that experience in business school. That wasn't really a smart idea. It all worked out. Right. But that was not a smart idea. Right. But that's also why I now counsel folks when they come out of law school. It's like, yeah, I know you want to go in-house. And in-house is great because I never wanted to work in a firm. But you kind of got to go pay your dues first so you can learn what you're doing. Because no one in-house really has time to teach you how to be a lawyer. Right. And what was the issue?
I mean, I think that a lot of times that's the same thing in science. You know, you go into science, you want to do your PhD. Although sometimes science experiments take a long time, but people are so invested in their personal project. It's hard to incorporate a new person into it, be able to teach them everything they need to know. You know, it's kind of like jumping into the pool feet first.
Exactly. And, you know, if I could be completely transparent and vulnerable, I don't think at that time I was ready to be vulnerable. I wasn't ready to say, I don't have it. I don't know what I'm doing. And because of, I think, just the way I've been brought up and maybe the way we've been socialized as a people, my thought was, oh, I don't have it. Let me go get it. I need to go to school for that. As opposed to I need to struggle in the moment at work, come in and not be afraid of looking dumb and asking for help and just figure it out. I was like, no, I'll go get another degree because then I'll know. I was like, no, I still don't know, but okay.
Well, I mean, you definitely spoke volumes. I mean, we sometimes as a people, it's hard for us to say, I don't know, or I can't, or I don't want to do it because it's ingrained in us to, if they're giving 100%, you give 120.
Exactly.
You do more, you know more. I get that.
Yes. I was just talking with my partner about that whole idea of when I first started, you know, what they kind of tell you in law school is you arrive before their partners arrive and you leave after they leave. Right? So I'd be there at like 7 a.m. I wouldn't leave until like 9 p.m. And I wasn't doing anything because I had no idea what I was doing.
So you were just there.
I was just there, filing papers, talking to all the admins. I was like, I actually learned more from them than any attorney there, which is a testament to how I think, how I think that people, you can learn from anybody, right? And not being afraid to ask for help. Right. Because I was like, I'm an attorney. Like, I passed the bar. I should know these things. I really did not. But you know who knew way more than me and saved me a lot of times was my paralegal. She knew way more about practicing law than I did.
Sometimes it's like that.
It is. And you know, to this day, I'm grateful for the coaching she gave me because she actually did sit down with me and teach me a few things. And that was super helpful. I mean, both on the legal and the business side. So super helpful.
I know there's going to be some people who hate that I'm about to say this, but you know, sometimes it's your nurse who knows more than your doctor.
Yes, I would agree. I come from a family of nurses and doctors, and
yes,
the nurse. Yes, I would agree. I would 1,000% agree with you.
All right. Unfortunately, it's kind of like once you go higher in your profession, you become more singular on what you're going to focus on instead of opening your mind and being broad.
Yep.
That is the most unfortunate part about it. However, if you have the ear to listen, to be
and
open to learning, then you see that just because they didn't get the same degree doesn't mean they're not as intelligent as you.
Yep.
And they can't teach you something new.
Exactly. What did Beyonce say in her homecoming video? Most people aren't great because they don't want to practice, or they don't want to struggle, or look dumb, and like as they prepare, right? I think that was a brilliant statement. Even though I'm quoting it incorrectly, I'm sure, but the message is there, like being willing to look foolish while you practice so that you can be great, right?
That's the thing. That's the key. In order to be great at anything, you have to have practice.
Yep.
And so instead of coming into it, I know everything, being humble and saying, I know something,
right,
but I'm always open to learning more. That's what's going to get you further.
I would agree. I would absolutely agree. It's one message I try to drive home with people that I mentor a lot. It's don't be afraid to ask for help. No one's going to think you are dumb. No one's going to think that they made a mistake hiring you because you asked.
Right.
You just have to ask.
That's right. I mean, the worst thing anyone can ever tell you is no.
Right.
That's the worst thing.
And then you keep asking, because no is never a final answer.
Okay. I like that.
Actually, let me take that back. True. Sometimes it is.
Sometimes.
But sometimes it's not.
Right.
And you got to figure out when those times are.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so you guys are listening to In the Know with Kat Bobino. My extra special guest today is AJ Williams. She is a lawyer as well as a tech genius who also works for Google, right?
Yes.
We do this every Wednesday, 6:30 live, and I see a couple of people have joined us. So if you have questions, make sure you type them up, put them in the comments section. Also, like and share the video so that more people can have access to it. But I'm going to go back to AJ now and say, well, all of this, how did you end up at Google?
So I started at Dell, right? And then I left tech for like 2 years, I think, and went and it's funny, I got a job that I didn't even want. Okay. Well, I didn't want it originally. When I got into the job, I was like, this is really cool. But I went into trucking. You can believe it.
Trucking, okay.
Yeah, I was working for a trucking company, and they wanted me to build out my own sourcing department. And I was like, don't know anything about trucking, but this is really cool. Because at the time, I was maybe 3 years out of business school. And I was like, when will I ever have an opportunity to build out my own department? Right. And it was it wasn't a startup, but it was scrappy like a startup, in that I had to do everything.
Right.
For the longest, I was the only attorney there. And I was like, problematic, because I don't know what I'm doing. Still don't know what I'm doing. And so that was out of all the roles that I've had, that's probably been my most interesting. Even though it's the least sexy, because it was one I had to do the most work on. So I learned the most. I mean, from presenting to the CEOs, presenting to the board of directors, etc. Like, and it wasn't because I was just so great at my job. There was no one else to do it. Right. And so I had the opportunity to do all of this stuff there. That then translated to, I got out of trucking. I was like, this is nice, but I miss tech and I miss the tech money. And so then I went to Microsoft, and I was at Microsoft for about a year before Google called me. Now, what's funny about this story, and I like to tell this because I think people see Google as the most amazing place to work. And it's a great place to work. Don't get me wrong. But I had been applying for roles at Google for probably since I left business school.
Right.
So
I've been applying too. Still haven't heard anything, but okay.
I applied. And when I say I applied, I mean at least 3 times a year. I'd find something and apply. Maybe more, maybe, usually at least 3, maybe more. Every year I was applying to Google. Got those automatic rejections. Thank you.
Right.
But no, thank you.
I know those. Right.
And so I had same year, I'm at Microsoft. I applied to a role at Google. Didn't get it originally. But then a recruiter found me on LinkedIn for another role at Google. And I said, I'm actually not interested in that role, but I applied for this role. And I think I'd be really interested in that. She said, oh, okay. Let me slide your resume to the recruiter working on this role. The recruiter working on the role reached out to me, said, let's set up time and talk. And there we go. That's how it happened.
Well, I am on LinkedIn, Google, recruiters. If you want to find me, I am available. But that is really awesome. Sometimes we fall into, or we get into the roles we really want in a circle.
Yes.
In a circular way instead of straightforward.
It's important for me to say that because I think I've talked to a number of folks who have applied for roles at Google and they get discouraged because they've been rejected. And I was like, yeah, they rejected me for 5 whole years. And I said, not today,
and
Google.
I'm still going to apply. Exactly.
But then when I got the role, it wasn't even me applying for it. It was them coming to me and I said, I want that role.
Right.
And so saying all that to say, if you get rejected once, twice, 3 times, it's on par with most people. Right. Just keep going. If it's something you really want, keep going after it, right? Because that has, that was fantastic for me. I always wanted to work for Google. I thought it was one of the most innovative companies in the tech space. Of course, everyone hears all the great things about it. And so I got into an amazing role at Google, stayed in that role for about 2.5 years. And now I've been on my new role, my new team for almost a year. Okay. And it's been great. This here has been one of the best roles that I've had in my career.
Okay. Well, how about you tell us about the role? What do you do?
Yeah. So I'm a policy manager. So I manage various policy programs that we do for all of our global products, right? So right now I'm primarily focused on elections because there's just a lot going on in the election space, maintaining election integrity. So hopefully we will have an election that reflects the people and their needs and wants.
That is awesome. I hope that this election goes differently is what I'm gonna say than our previous election.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I hope we have an election that is free of any outside interferences and that people are making really good decisions about information based on correct information. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out.
We shall see.
But the other part is I get to work on like AI and AR ethics too, which is, hey, as we're building these products, and this is great that we get to be innovative and smart and all that. Let's make sure we're doing it in an ethical way and thinking about the social context of what we're putting in the market and how it should be used.
Okay.
Right? So one of the important questions I always tell folks is, or ask folks is, just because we can do it, should we do it?
Should we do it? That's a good question. Should we do some of the things that we're doing? Like, obviously, when it comes to climate change and things like that, there's a lot of things we're doing that we should not be doing.
Yep.
So it makes sense that, sometimes we are doing, or we want to ask the question, just because we do doesn't mean it's right.
Exactly.
Right. So again, you're listening to In the Know with Kat Bobino, and today we're talking with AJ Williams. And we're also Facebook Live every time we do this podcast. And if you have questions, feel free to type them in and we can ask them during the show. I did have a question that was asked, and it was, what law do you practice? And I'm going to say that's probably intertwined with, does law intertwine with what you're doing at Google?
So to be clear, I'm no longer practicing, actively practicing law. Law comes into play with what I do in that we do policy, and particularly in the election space, a lot of the policies that we are creating is in response to legislation. Or it needs to, if we're creating something new, it needs to adhere to various legislations in different states, federally, across borders, etc. So, but when I did practice, I was primarily doing contract law and supporting our supply chain.
Awesome. And so now with the policy with elections, does it start with the lower elections as we're getting into primaries and things like that? Or is this something that's being built so that we can have something in place for when the larger elections happen?
We'll see, won't we?
Oh. Oh, okay. You know, I'm not mad at that.
We'll definitely see.
I hope so.
I think we'll see soon. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm with that. I'm with that. Okay. So with being in tech, working at Google, which I've heard is an amazing place to work, what do you do outside of your job?
Oh, not a lot. No, I'm joking. No, I'm big in working out. I love working out. Okay. So I like to go work out. I was going to Soul Cycle and Equinox until, you know. And so and so I love working out. I love hanging out with my friends, right? I have a dog, and so oftentimes I can be found cuddled up on the couch with her watching Netflix or whatever's on TV.
Not mad. What kind of dog do you have?
She's a rescue dog. So she's part Beagle and part Italian Greyhound. She looks more Greyhound than anything now.
Beagle and Greyhound. I know. So if no one knows this about me, 10 years ago or so, I was a vet tech.
Really?
So I've dealt with many of animals.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever seen a Beagle Greyhound mix.
Yeah.
That's different for me.
So when I first got her, they kept saying, oh, she's a Beagle. What's the little Beagle Chihuahua mix? And I was like, I see Beagle because she had the floppy ears. Right. I was like, I don't know if I see Chihuahua. And then she grew up, and then her body started taking that shape of a Greyhound. I was like,
all legs.
That's Greyhound right there. Like maybe Whippet, but Whippets tend to be a little bit bigger. So I was like, that probably is Italian Greyhound. Okay. So
me, I have a 5-pound Yorkie.
Aw.
He is 5 pounds. He thinks he's 50. So, you know, he barks at everything. Yeah. He thinks he's going to fight cats that scare him, actually. You know, he'll bark at them until they turn on him, and then he's behind mom's legs. So.
Yeah, of course.
I understand the pet life.
Yeah, she's like that. She barks, talks a big game, but wouldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight.
Not at all.
Now, what's funny is, so my boyfriend's dog is a 130-pound Rottweiler. She's huge. But she thinks she's a 5-pound Yorkie.
Yes. That's what I always tell people.
Is not aggressive, and all she wants to do is crawl in your lap and cuddle.
Yes. That's how I feel about most pit bulls.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, most pit bulls, they have a bad rep. But every pit bull, not every, but majority of pit bull I've ever met, all they want to do is get in your lap and cuddle.
Yes.
That's literally all they want to do. And then your 5-pound dog wants to bark at the world and show their
complete
strength.
Gangster, right? Like,
I don't get it.
My dog, and she sees other dogs, like the bigger dogs, and she gets even more aggressive, first standing on her back. And I remember one time she was barking and being really aggressive towards a deer. And I was like, you know what? You'll be on your own with that fight. I'm not saving you.
I like to take my dog hiking up in the Oakland Hills. And we came across horses. And he was barking at the horses. And I was like, if they charge you, you will die.
You will die. And
I'm going to run. Like, I want to say I love my pets so much that I will go into battle for them. Truth be told, I'm going to go the other way.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the other way. You are on your own. That's
how I felt about that deer. Because I'd seen, you know, those videos they show you in driving school of like the deer crashing through. And I was like, if you can do that to a car, no.
I've experienced that. I went to school in Alabama, and a deer hit my car.
Oh, God.
Not the front, though. It was weird. I'm driving down a dark road in Alabama with some of my friends. It was Thanksgiving. And you see all these deer just on the side of the road. And I guess they're trying to cross, but they're caught in the headlights. And so they're not crossing. And then one deer, a male deer with big antlers, decided to cross and ran into the side of my car and dented my door in. My passenger door. Oh my gosh.
Yes. They're really strong.
They are strong as shit.
They are really strong. I don't like, ever since seeing those videos, I was like, I don't play with those deer.
Yeah, you on your you do you. You do you. I'm gonna do me.
If a deer walked in here right now, I'm like, you got it. I'm out.
Right. This is your space.
This is yours.
I'm gonna go this way.
I don't know why I'm here. Let me leave.
You know, I was in the wrong habitat. Let me go about your space. No, I get it. Like, deer are strong, but when it comes to dogs, for whatever reason, my partner, he always says that I'm the dog whisperer, because we watch across, like, we work on international and like in the 90s. It's tough area is what I'm gonna say. And but we walk to get something to eat, and we walk past a junkyard dog a German Shepherd.
Oh, okay.
And he's like way on the end of the curb, almost in the street. Like, that's his space. I'm not gonna mess with this German Shepherd. And I was like, it's just it's a big puppy, probably like a year old. Yeah. I'm all bent down, like, oh my God, come here, come,
of course, of course.
And he was just like, really? Because if he bites you, now I have to climb the fence and kill a dog. Like, you don't have to. I know what I'm doing. All right, but that's enough about that. Let's go back to technology.
Okay.
So where do you see yourself in about 5 years when it comes? Are you going to still be in tech? You still want to do tech? What do you see?
So that's a great question. It's something that I've been working on, right? I still really like tech. I think whatever I do will have some semblance of tech. What I've been doing as of late, I've been doing a lot more. Like I said, I've been getting more into the AI and AR ethics space, right? I really see myself leaning more into this. How does tech interact with society and what impacts does it have, right? Okay. So there's I see a social contract with technology companies operating in the community, right? And I want to be kind of that check and balance of, but as you created this great thing, how did you think about Black and brown people? How do you think about women? How do you think about those who are differently abled, right? So I kind of want to, this is my civil rights side coming out. I kind of want to be in the room and at the table of these tech companies as products are being built and asking those questions, because truth be told, I know a lot of people who build those don't think that, right? And they need someone to mention that to them. So that's where I see myself. I've also been sitting on boards of other tech companies. Okay. And so again, with that, I want to take my expertise in law and operations and policy and then apply that to those products as well, right? And say, hey, as you're building this, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Right. One of the things I told my partner, we were talking randomly a few weeks ago about one of the first companies that I did advisory work for, which was a beauty company in Brazil. And I loved their mission so much, but their mission was unable to scale. They were founded, it was kind of like the Brazilian Mary Kay, if you will. Yes. Okay. And beauty is just another industry I'm super into, right? So I'm excited to see this mix of beauty and tech as well. But this particular company, what was important about this this example is they were like the Brazilian Mary Kay, and they sourced their products directly from Amazon. They hired mostly women. Nice. And because they were hiring women and making products for women, they had a daycare on campus, and it was free. Okay. And with the thought of, hey, you can drop your kid off in between meetings, go check on your kid. Your kid is not something you have to worry about because your kid's right there. Like someone else is watching the kid, but
I feel like more companies need to do that. That's a very smart way.
They were building for their core demographic, which was women. The food in the cafeteria, I think it was all of, let's just call it $1. It may have been maybe $5, but it was whatever was, it was very cheap. I remember that. And it was kind of like an all you can eat buffet, but it was extremely inexpensive. And what they said was they were trying to provide food. This is before maybe right when Google became famous for having free lunch. Right. But they wanted to provide food for these women because they were like, hey, again, something you don't have to think about. Right. And a lot of the women they hired were women who were very poor, who they were single women who either their husbands had left them or something. And so they were trying to find a way to provide food and or provide for their families. And so this was a way for them to get job opportunities. I say that to say, I give that example to say, as I sit on the advisory board for some of these companies, I want them to think through this. Not just think about, this is a cool product. Let's build this product and let's push it out to everyone. How are you treating your employees too? Right? Because happy employees create much better products. And they can then have the brain power to think through, how can I build a product that is 360. It's thinking about how do we build something for the Black and Brown community? How do we build something for women? How do we build something for the elderly? How do we build something for people who are differently abled? How do we think through all of these categories and ensure that our product can be useful to the broader society, right? And you can't do that though if you're like, hey, I'm 2 weeks behind deadline, $300 over budget. Oh, I'm gonna get fired today. You know, like that needs to not be how the company temperature is. And so I want to help companies just really be successful, not just in the product space, but also it starts from, you know, what culture are you building in your DNA?
Right.
Because that's important.
That is very important. And I know that what I've heard, I don't work at any of the tech companies, but big tech companies like Facebook, Google, YouTube, things like that, that's something that's very important to them. And I remember I used to know a recruiter many, many years ago at Google who said that when most people worked 4 days a week, because on Friday, that's your day. And your day is to work on something that you're interested in, do something you're interested in, and they support you. And even if you decide to start your own tech company and you left for 5 years, but it didn't work out and you came back, Google will open their arms to you. Like, come on back, you know, work with us because we already know your skill set. We already know what you can do. You can come on back. And so that's one of the reasons why I'll apply to Google, but I also push people to apply to some of the bigger tech companies, no matter what's going on in your world, because that's the temperature that they have.
Yes. I would agree. I will say, just like every large company, whether or not or how that's supported by your team, it will be different from team to team. Right. But I definitely, I agree. I rarely take meetings on Fridays. I'll put it that way. I'm open for meetings in the morning. I've blocked out my afternoons completely because that's my think time. That's my, I need to plan for next week so that I can be successful. I need to think through what are some of the things that I wanted to do this week that didn't get done. And what are some of those blockers that, you know, I need to work on, or hey, just let me read this new article on AI.
On AI, yeah.
Right? Like, let me just kind of think through how do I best serve my community through this opportunity I have at Google. Right? Because again, that's really all I care about. So yes, I would agree that that's generally the temperature at these companies. I would also say that, you know, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt because that's not always the case.
Well, yeah, you know,
but when that works, it works really well. It works really, really well. And then you get the benefit of working with so many people, learning so much, right? It's kind of like a training ground before you go out and do it on your own, right? Leverage those resources. That's what I always say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I've been doing media for a few years. You know, I'm still trying to grow it, still trying to get to the next level. But, you know, it's about the people you know, and it's how you treat people and how people treat you. And I think that in any organization, in science, tech, engineering, and math, or even beyond STEM, it's the people you meet, it's connections you have, and it's the value that people can see in you, you know, and unfortunately, there's a lot of companies out there that sometimes don't see the value of their employees, you know, and I don't think anybody from my job ever watches this, but it's kind of like it's my job. Unfortunately, where I work currently, you know, I do one thing. However, I've said, you know, I've done finance, like helping people fix their credit. I can help people do that. Or I do STEM. If you have kids or somebody who's interested in it, I can do that. And I've offered my services. And it's like, well, why don't you stay in your lane? And it's like, okay.
And it's it's so disappointing because when you have so much talent in you, because let's be real, we're not just singularly talented people. Like, oftentimes we have a number of interests. I'm like, I love tech, I love the law, I also really love makeup and beauty. I like to look like a pretty girl sometimes. And so to your point though, like, I would be miserable in a role that would not allow me to kind of showcase all of my different skills and learn some new stuff, right?
Yes.
It's one of the reasons I love that role at the trucking company so much, because there was no one to do anything.
You did everything. And you learned
did everything. But I learned so much.
Right.
I never would know how to put together a meeting in a prospectus for a board of advisors. Or board of directors. I never would have known that. Nor I won't have that opportunity at Google.
Right.
Like, as good as I think I am at my job, I don't think Sergey or Sundar or anyone's going to be calling me up and saying, Angela,
sweet.
Right. We're having a meeting. We're waiting on you to arrive. Like, I don't think that's going to happen, but
it might. You never know.
Stranger things.
Stranger things happen. Right. But I think it's very important that if you, for whatever company that you work for, that they're open-minded.
Yes.
To listening. Yeah. Now, if you put it into actual work, that's on you.
Yeah.
But to be able to listen to what something someone is offering.
And you've got to ask too, right? Like, even in this role, again, I started off in the election space because for me, I was super interested in politics, right? And I thought this is important. And then I got really interested in AI and AR and VR. And so I talked to my manager. I said, listen, I like this space. I do, but there is some really innovative stuff going on in the AI and AR space, particularly when it comes to setting policy for how these things could be used. Also, because there aren't any, there's not a whole lot of legislation or even case law to provide guidance. So right now it's like the wild, wild west. And before you send, these young software engineers off who are super talented and get really excited about all the things that they can do. Right. We got to set some guardrails up to help them know, yes, just because you can do it doesn't mean we should do it, or we should put some boundaries up for the people who will use this, such that the product you create doesn't then further marginalize someone or just make someone feel like crap, right? Like, we want to do no harm. Right. Want to do no harm.
It's like one of the laws for robotics, right? Do no harm. So that's awesome. Again, you guys are listening to In the Know with Kat Bobino, and our guest is AJ Williams. But I want to reiterate something that we've talked about tonight, which is there's no straight pathway. When it comes to your career. So if you're interested in science, tech, engineering, or math, a lot of times we think that you go to school, you do the work, you get the degree, and you work in a career. That's not the case all the time.
Not all the time.
There are a select few who do that. However, most of us have a career that zigzags, goes up and down, left and right, until we get to a career that we are satisfied in.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And I think I used to be really afraid of that. I thought, what am I doing with my life? I need to make this story sound right. And I was like, you know what? Just figure it out along the way. Just flow. Just things. Even this role came to me too, right? I had been looking for other internal roles because I knew I was ready to do something other than deals, because I'd been doing deals for so long. Right. And I kind of was interested in policy, and then I couldn't find a role the first time I was looking at it. And then one of the hiring managers pinged me about this role. She's like, I don't have any headcount on my team, but this manager's hiring. It's a role I think you'd be great at. I think you'd love it. Check it out. Sit down and talk to him. And the manager sold me before the role did. So it's another whole conversation about.
Yes. And something that I said when I think I mentioned I did a panel discussion like 2 weeks ago, but you want to make sure that what they're saying about you when you're not in the room is beneficial for you.
Yep.
Exactly. So you want the people around you, you want allies, you want the people who are going to be there for you to be able to speak for you when you're not there.
Yes, I completely agree.
And so that's very important. But I do like the fact that, although you've had your ups and downs, your sideways, your curves, you maintained the course. You got your education.
Yep. A lot of it.
Right. But you kept going. And, when you first went to college and you started with anthropology, who would have thought you'd end up in tech?
Who would have thought it? I'm telling you, I did not. Right. I really thought I'd be working for like Essence magazine or something.
I ain't mad at that. I got my master's degree in biology, and I'm still saying, I'm about to be on like CBS, talking about science and careers and stuff. Like, that's still the goal.
Mm-hmm.
So I move forward.
Yes.
And I keep going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because what else are you going to do?
Yeah. Time's going to pass you anyway.
Yeah.
You might as well work towards your goal. And so before we head out, is there anything you want people to know about you that we have not mentioned tonight?
That I hate being late, and I'm sorry. Legit, like a pet peeve of mine.
No, when I was an undergrad, my professor, he passed away this year, but he was amazing. He was my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
He said to be early is to be on time.
To be on time is to be late.
Yes.
To be late is unacceptable.
It's unacceptable.
It was one thing they ingrained in us the first week at Spelman.
And I think it's an HBCU thing because I went to Stillman, which people think is Spelman all the time. But, I think that's ingrained.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Don't be late. So I understand the struggle of being late.
Yes.
So if anyone has any questions that they still have, we are about to end, but we can get your questions answered. So
please.
Right. You're watching or listening to In the Know with Kat Bobino, the podcast with AJ Williams, but we're also Facebook Live. And if anyone wants to know anything else about you, AJ, how do they find out about you?
So everyone can always catch me running my mouth on Twitter.
Okay.
AJ Williams CO. Yeah, that's pretty much where I run my mouth most days. Okay. I'm usually doing speaking events around the Bay as well. But yeah.
And globally, right? I went to your website.
Yeah, and globally. Mm-hmm. So I just applied to speak at another conference in Rwanda next year. So we're crossing our fingers on that one. That's the one. I need to
know about these conferences.
Listen,
I need to be applying to this as well.
It's a dope conference. I wanted to go this year. It's in February. I wanted to go this year. But we found out way too late. We found out in like January. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, it's a dope conference.
Okay, so I want to say that, if you're interested in tech, if you're interested in law, or you're interested in working out, or you're interested in makeup, you don't have to do one or the other.
You can do them all.
You can do everything.
You can do it all.
You can do whatever your heart desires. Just because you go in STEM does not mean you can't have a pretty face.
Thank you.
Right? So I do want to say thank you to everyone who joined us, and make sure that you are liking and sharing our information. And my producer says we got 5 more minutes. I like how he tells me this when I'm like closing out, but it's all good. And so for the next 5 minutes, I guess you can hear us ramble. But I do want to know more about Google and working at Google.
Yeah.
And I'm looking on the website. I didn't see that one. Okay, but yes. And if there's something else you want to, I'm looking for the website right now to pull up the Facebook. Apparently I have a question, but I got to find it.
Okay.
But yeah, so everything that you've done, let's see. Oh, okay. This is what we got on Facebook Live. Who would you suggest I talk to at Google about supporting STEM-based education platforms that have been developed for lower, middle, high school, and college-age students? Long-winded question, but do you know anyone that we should be reaching out to?
Names, no.
Okay.
But I know that work is going on at Google, right? It's not an area that I touch a lot. There are a number of folks who do touch it, but I don't know the names. But you know what? If you tweet me that question, what I'm willing to do is investigate the right POC and then give you that answer. I just don't know off the top of my head.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is all about networking and helping each other grow.
Yeah.
So just a simple fact that you're willing to help.
Yeah. I mean, always. I really, again, I'm super invested in helping people in as much as possible. Right. So
I'm going to ask that question about media. I know Google got a plane that lands at NASA. I've seen it. So I know that.
We got a plane? No one told me that.
Yes.
Plane. They got me flying Spirit. No, I'm just stuck.
Oh. I was about to be like, no, please, no. I've been on Spirit.
I'm joking. But yeah, no, I didn't even know we had a plane. That's kind of cool.
Okay, well, your founders have a plane. That's what I'm going to say.
get on the plane. That's cool. See, I told you they're not calling me. They're not calling me for the cool stuff.
And they land at NASA Ames. I've seen when I have a friend that works at NASA, so I've been there. That's where the president lands.
That's crazy.
And they have a plane that says Google on the side of it that lands at NASA Ames.
I just feel like for our next team offsite in India, that I would like to fly on that plane. I just would like to put that out there in case any of our founders are watching.
I would like to fly on that plane.
That would be awesome.
We can do a podcast live.
Sundar,
we can do that live on the plane as we go anywhere outside of the country. Just put that out there. I don't want to fly to New York. We can fly out of the country. I'll do a podcast on your show. I mean, on the plane.
I think that's a pretty good offer.
I like it. I like the fact that, we've come up with this plan to make sure that we're at NASA Ames. Like, wait a minute. Don't leave without us.
Don't leave without me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here.
Yeah, I like that. But yeah, that's amazing that, there's these opportunities, with Google.
The fun thing about Google is because Google has their hands in so many different products and stuff, there's something for everyone. I'll tell you a really quick story. Mm-hmm. One guy that I work with, he's an engineer, right? And he was kind of starting off building stuff, but then he started off as his 20% project. Mm-hmm. And if anyone's unfamiliar, at Google, we have these things called 20% projects. And it's really like you take literally 20% of your time and work on another team project. Or job or project or something, right?
Okay.
And he took what was a 20% project and built it out to a full-time job and has now hired a team of like 7-8 people full of engineers. And it's that whole social context and technology and how they intersect with one another, right? And we're using that information as we're building products and making policies for these products, right? That is the cool thing about Google.
Right.
You know what? I see a problem. There is no job of, here to fix this or address this. I'm going to create it.
So I feel like there's no job at Google that's highlighting the careers at Google and highlighting STEM. So I would be perfect.
There you go.
For that job.
There you go.
I'm going to put that in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I would be great at doing.
Yeah.
So
put it in the atmosphere. All the Google recruiters we have in Sister Circle and Black Tech Women on Facebook.
I'm gonna share this in that, Google ask people,
pitch it.
I'm a pitch it. I feel like someone needs to be recording the amazing people you have at Google.
Google told me no so many times, like it then said yes. So I say pitch it, and if they tell you no, keep pitching it till they tell you yes.
I'm gonna do that. That's my goal. And I have an in. I have an in. But so I want to say thank you again to everyone. My cousin Ushan said, "What's up, cousin?" So hey, what's up? What's up, hey, what's up, fam? But thank you guys for joining us tonight. Make sure that you join us every Wednesday night at 6:30. We have a guest, typically in-house, sometimes over the phone. But if you know anyone who's in science, tech, engineering, math, who want to tell their story, make sure that you send them to me. Email is catbobino@gmail. Super simple. And send me a message and we can get you on the show. I want to say thank you to AJ for joining us tonight. And thank you to all the people out there for sharing the video. And I can't wait to talk to you in person. Good night.
Night.
It's touchscreen.